The lockdown is lifted. What's going to happen with the real estate prices? Will they plummet? Will they rise at an all-time high? Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? We're going to cover just that in today's video. Hello everyone, this is Sid Chandra again, your resource for the Greater Toronto Area market updates, tips, and tricks. Is it a good time to buy or sell real estate now or wait a little longer? That seems to be the question almost every client I speak to has. We will start with the statistics, the boring stuff, and then we'll dive into how you can take advantage of this market. We started with very high prices, reaching an all-time high, but going into March and then into June, prices started to stabilize. Here's what I mean. So as we look at this graph here for the average detached homes in 2020 and 2021, I'm going to keep it very simple. When we look at the 2020 graph, we can see it's very volatile because we weren't sure of the lockdowns, what was happening with the restrictions. There was a lot of uncertainty in the market and that reflected the prices. However, in 2021, there's a lot less fluctuation and more stability. But we can see that in the month of July, the prices have reached quite a low point. And that is normal, guys, because we're in a vacation mode. Many people are frustrated from being locked down for so long over the last year. And just in general, July and August has known to be a slower time in the year because of the weather being so good and people being out and about. Will the prices bounce back up? I think it will 100% bounce back up come September, when things start to go back to normal. People are back from their vacations and ready to start making decisions in their life. So if you're a buyer, now is a great time to enter the market and get a good deal. And if you're a seller, if your home is priced, presented, and marketed correctly, you will sell your home for top dollar. Moving on, looking at the active listings versus new listings, this tells us how healthy the market is. If the difference between the active listings and new listings is increasing, it tells us that listings are taking longer to sell, which means that the market is cooling down. Currently, we can see that the difference has been the highest it has been in the entire year. Again, due to lockdown restrictions being lifted, people finally getting to enjoy the weather and getting vaccinated has slowed things down a bit because they've been frustrated. Let's face it, we've been locked down for over a year and now it's time finally for us to get our freedom and people are enjoying it as much as they can. I do predict though, as we get into the cooler months like September and October, and when people start to get settled in again, they will start thinking more about their properties and day-to-day lives. And I do predict that things will go back to how they were prior to the pandemic when the market was just nuts. One key thing to observe here is that the new listings are dying down a bit, which is an indication that the market is starting to pick up once again. Moving on, looking at the months of inventory and average detached home prices. This indicates to us whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. If the number of months of inventory is below 3, it's a seller's market, and if it's above 3, it tends to be a buyer's market. Looking at this graph here, we know it's been a seller's market for the longest time, but it's interesting to see that even though it's a small rise, it's the highest it's been for the entire year. And it's a great time for buyers to enter the market and see growth in their home in a short time span. Here's what I have to say about this. For sellers, the demand is pretty high, and if the home is priced, presented, and marketed correctly, it will still sell for a great price. However, there are homes that don't get marketed well and are selling for below market value as well. Moving on, looking at the average prices for condos in July, we can see here in this graph that they've hit an all-time low. While this is a compilation of all price points and areas in Toronto, it's safe to say again that if your condo is priced, presented, and marketed correctly, it will likely still sell for more than it did last year. At a high level though, prices have seen a small dip and buyers can get some good deals in the condo market. Moving on, looking at the average condo prices and months of inventory, we can see here, just like the detached homes market, months of inventory in the condo sector is also rising. I believe this will continue to happen until September or October while people are on vacation and not thinking about real estate as much. If we observe this graph carefully, we can see that back in June, when people knew that the lockdown was being lifted, there was a hike in price. Similarly, I think when we approach the months of September and October, when people are getting back to their normal day-to-day routine, prices will start to rise again. In addition, we are seeing condos without parking spaces taking longer to sell than the ones with parking spaces. When you are making your purchase for a condo, I highly recommend having a parking space with it. In some cases, we're also seeing parking spaces go for up to $300 a month. Moving on, looking at the average condo prices and sales. We can see here in this graph, first of all, I want to point out that I know this graph can be quite overwhelming, so I'm going to keep it very simple. If we compare the prices from 2020 to up until now, we can see that the prices have risen quite a bit. Regardless of what people say, prices in the condo area are still going up. Also, the sales are a direct reflection of how hot the market is. If the sales are up, the prices tend to go up. If the sales are down, the prices are down. Currently, I want you to pay attention to the direction the sales are heading in. With the sales declining, prices are always in a downward swing. Again, this will be a small window where the prices continue to decline until the next few weeks before we see a huge hike once there's a new announcement made in our favor, like the immigrants coming into the country, interest rates staying low, construction costs being at an all-time high, etc. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so I can continue to roll out more valuable content around the real estate space. Also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, where I post just listed, coming soon, and off-market listings that you can take advantage of. Until next time, peace.